know right when it's done. Alrighty, well, we're now recording. Well, thank you everybody for being here for a colloquial session today. Today's session, we're focused on a discussion on our conference last month, where, I'm really curious about everybody's experience at the conference. At the same time, I want to have a discussion about what we can do for the next conference. I know we're joined here by some colleagues who were not at the conference, so I'll be very interested to hear ideas that they have for the next conference. Today we're being have two contributors here, amazing group here. So I have Inga and I have Joshua. Inga's joining us from Virginia Tech, where she has a nice background there. Looks like good weather, I guess. And Joshua's joining us from the University of Missouri. Don't see what weather he's got going on, but he's got his Doc Rico with him. So other than that, I will go ahead and start the first question here. And Inga, I'll ask you first. So how did you find VSA?
So, uh, I am a librarian at Virginia Tech, and I am also a part-time PhD student here at Virginia Tech. And so my dissertation work is looking at bureaucratic information systems at the federal level, and I'm working with Marine Corps University to be able to ask my questions and do data collection in that space. So as I became more and more interested and was able to hone my topic, I was looking at more specific things in that space. And
That
so,
said, take care of the pain. And when the
hello.
swelling go down, he said,
Hello, are you able to mute yourself? Thank you so much. So, I have a colleague who shall remain nameless who is on the call. Probably not. I'll probably end up slipping and saying his name, so I don't think he'll be able to remain nameless. Who is a dearly beloved colleague of mine, and so I was speaking with him about different things, and so he introduced me to the Veteran Studies Association and Veterans in Society. And it has been an absolutely perfect fit to be able to understand the connections within society overall. And so currently, I am the agricultural librarian and also the military studies librarian at Virginia Tech. And so I have some overlap in both my professional librarian hat space and also within my PhD space to be interested in that area.
Great, thank you for the response, and we're glad to have you on board. Joshua, same question.
Pretty good, because he kept getting a bunch of supplies
And I have a lot of
Perfect. Um, it threw my mind. So I found the conference to be a breath of fresh air. I actually was invited by Latasha Henderson, who I believe I saw her name on the call here. I was unaware of the VSA, the conference, all of it. I work for University of Missouri, specifically under extension at UMKC in Kansas City. And I started a program here called Veteran Reads Program about 2 years ago. And READS is an acronym for Resilience, Education, Advocacy, Dialogue, Service. It's rooted in bibliotherapy, and we do a number of things. But one of the things I do is travel what I call this gravel road alone. I'm the only one in this state really kind of operating in this space. I'm sorry, I take it back. On this side of the state, there's some people in St. Louis who are operating in this space, but Kansas City and St. Louis, while only being four hours apart, are might as well be four states apart. We often don't, you know, collab too much. And so I was excited when I learned that there was a group of people in higher ed working in this space. I have worked at various institutions of higher ed in California, in Nevada, and now Missouri. And, all institutions of higher ed love to say that they're veteran serving. And I believe that they're well intentioned, but oftentimes those intentions don't materialize into funding or actual working on the ground in the difficult spaces with veterans. And so it's more of a symbolic work oftentimes, which I find to be frustrating. And, truth be told, Missouri is the same way. There's a lot of, we love to be, veterans serving, but there's no money for what you do, and good luck, right? Figure it out on your own. And that's why I called the work that I do the work in the gravel road. And it was it was sort of refreshing to go to this conference and feel like we're all traveling a gravel road, but it's a road of heart and passion And I typically don't like conferences. I even wrote a little something afterwards and sent it to the conference committee that I don't enjoy conferences. I mean, I've been working in higher ed for a long time, and I feel like they become spaces where individuals will often perform their work, but not really deepen it for others. And it just gets to be, ego platforming that I just am sick of. And so I'll be honest, the first day of the conference, my wife texts me and she goes, "Is it BS?" And I go, absolutely not. Like, it's great. Like, I've really felt like the conversations and the heart and the work that people were doing right off the gate the first day, I was like, this is, and I literally sent her the text message. I go, "These are my people. This is amazing." And she goes, "Have fun." Right. And so I think that was the start.
Awesome, awesome. So, um,
May I follow up with that, Chris?
go for it.
Thank you so much. So within my librarianship, I really focus, I'm a liaison librarian. I have communities that I am supposed to serve and then find more work within those communities to bring back to the library to meet needs, close gaps, and work in those kind of spaces. And so on some levels, I'm an extension person. My
Mhm.
specialty, like I'm an extension specialist, my specialty just happens to be libraries and information.
Mhm.
And so the pragmatic approach is near and dear to my heart and is interwoven through everything that I've got going on with how I work with the world. And so that absolutely boots on the ground, right? Like I was a farmer before I was a librarian, and so literally boots on the ground kind of thing. And so I resonate with so many folk here, even though I'm to take the words from to take the phrase that my colleague uses, a chronic civilian. So that aspect of resonance and a vibe that felt like home was
Mhm.
so fantastic because, like Josh said, it wasn't ego platforming. Or if there was ego platforming, it was also surrounded by practical, actionable
Mhm.
things and or people that give a damn in a way that it was oh man, this is a hard question. We don't know the answer, but we're going to stay in this hard question. And it's okay for the question to be hard. And it's okay to have feelings and emotions. And there was a lot of space and grace that I was both offered and able to hold that still gives me goosebumps just talking about it now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I felt like I found a nice tribe over at VIS, and I liked everything about it, and I kind of feel the same way as Joshua. Like I've been to other conferences, and on that first day, you already know how you like, oh, you get the vibe. You're like, oh, I'm gonna dread this, or you know what, I'm gonna love this, right? So literally, I want to give thanks to Carrie for having a pre-conference that she did, because that literally, like to me, brought a great vibe to the start of the conference. And the rest of the conference, I mean, to be honest, I didn't want it to end, but it had to end eventually. We all had to go home, right? So I think it was amazing. It was definitely amazing to have the opportunity to present, but I felt like it was more amazing to learn from others from presenting the poster presentations, all the groups. I felt like it was perfect. It was amazing. And the visit to the Veteran Art Museum was just it was a little extra thing that kind of I felt like made it feel like more connected, you know? Other than that, I'd like to open the floor up if anybody wants to have any words about their experience at VIS. And let's not talk about the weather that happened there that one day with that tornado warning, or just focus on inside the building. Floor is open if anybody wants to unmute themselves and talk about their experience there. Go for it, Carrie.
Well, I'll say it was really a pleasure to meet so many new faces at the conference. I think that happens often in our every 2 year meeting. We've got a cohort of new people. And one of my favorite insights, we did an activity at the pre-conference where in teams at tables, we asked folks to think about unique ideas or topics in veteran studies. And I was expecting when I organized the activity that it would be kind of a category style. Each table's coming up with topics. You have to come up with a unique one. And so if you call out like PTSD and other people have PTSD, you don't get credit for that. You're trying to get as many points as possible in your 2 minutes of coming up with as many unique topics as you can. And I was really, in planning the activity for the pre-conference, thinking we were going to have a ton of overlap because we oftentimes see overlap in the scholarship, and JVS is trying really hard to expand outside some of the more traditional original topics. So I was expecting that. And we didn't have a single overlapping topic in that activity, which I thought was incredible. And hearing people call out these really unique, important, understudied topics just made me realize the benefit of opening and expanding and trying to bring in more new folks, especially folks that have, to our speakers, professional areas, like this extension, this outreach, this liaison kind of work, because both we get to hear what's going on with veterans and other military connected people today in real life, and also what scholars are doing in other areas and how we can combine. And so I was just really inspired and excited about that. And I'm really interested to hear what more VSA can do to, make our community more accessible to more faces and support these really cool ideas that are interesting and diverse scholarship areas in veteran studies.
Carrie, I wanted to say thanks for leading that. I think you did a great job. And that was actually that first workshop was one of the things that made me go, oh, this is good. Because you're right. Oftentimes when you get people in a space thinking about a certain topic, there is a lot of overlap. And the truth is, I've done similar things locally here, and no fault of any individual, but when people aren't deep in a space, things stay on the surface, right? Thus, you get overlap because it's just sort of the surface level, almost cliche things. But that workshop that you're talking about that you led made me go, oh, there's some really deep thinking in this space here. And this is so good. And it made me lean into the conference. And it also made me think these are topics that I need to return to my state with and share with my stakeholders just because they've probably never even had these thoughts about this space.
Yeah, and there's a comment there from Inga. She said Carrie did a great job with the pre-conference. I hope we kept all those ideas. I actually agree. It was amazing when we read through them all. It truly was this society piece for the veterans and society aspect. And actually, that I had another thought too about the conference, and I definitely appreciate it too. It wasn't just for veterans; it was also for our veteran allies. So our spouses, are those in the veteran study field and not veteran themselves. I feel like that diverse group literally brought that society aspect into place. It's, especially for veterans, if you go somewhere to veterans only, it's a different kind of vibe, right? So I feel like this one was, to me, just felt like the right kind of vibe. That's just my personal vibe. Um, and, as a veteran myself, I definitely want to appreciate our allies, like I said, our spouses, those who are interested in veteran studies, very much appreciated. So other than that, thank you everyone. Again, thank you, Carrie, for leading up your conference. Does anybody else have any thoughts about the conference?
I'm hesitant because I don't want to dominate the conversation, but I do also want to say that um, I think this has been the only conference in my entire life where I've exchanged numbers and contacts with people, and I've actually I mean, already myself and Inga and Sarah and Heather and Josh Cannon and some others have already made connections. I mean, I had Manny from California send me some carne asada in the mail uh, because I told him I can't get good carne asada in Kansas City, despite some of the opinions from people in Missouri that think Mexican good food is good here. It's not. And so he overnighted me some carne asada. And so there's been like some genuine conversations, connections, and continued collaboration. Yeah, Manny will overnight.
I'm gonna ping Manny now, and I'm gonna just like the cry face. Do you know
Yeah.
how food motivated this human is? Good Lord.
We're about to overwhelm Mr. Manning. Definitely,
He
and
just
I,
he just
yeah,
needs to host the next conference, and then we'll make sure that we have an event where he thinks that the carne asada is good, and we'll just that. So it's we're just going to assign him tasks while he's not here, because that's a kind thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's awesome. I agree. I agree with all the connections that I've made, and it's that one conference where I've had connections continue after the conference.
I,
Um,
I can share a couple of experiences that I had that were wonderful. Number one, VIS has been life changing for me in general from when I attended in 2024 till now. I've been heavily involved with VSA and had so many opportunities to get involved in other areas. Like they helped me to go to the SBA conference last year. I get to work with Carrie. I met Carrie at VIS in 24. Some of the other work that I've done, it's just been amazing, just the organization in general. But this conference in particular, what I loved was community. We could go to that restaurant in that hotel, walk in, and if I would walk in a lot of times alone and end up at a table with people, and they're just like, "Oh, hey, come join us, come." And so I loved that aspect. And then Carrie had organized a a night for us to go out and have dinner. I think it was the first night. That was great, just pulling up a table and us just sitting around and chatting. And I love how communal we are and how we all just there's there's not a clique, there's no oh you don't belong. I always feel very welcome, and I felt very welcome at this conference as well this year. But the other thing that I got to do is meet some people that I love, and I love their work, and I read their work, and I cite their work. So I got to meet some of them, and that was great too. But just sometimes you look and you're like, oh my goodness, I read this person's work, and I love this person's work. And I go to a lot of conferences, and they always feel very distant and far away. So that at this conference, I could actually touch them and take pictures with them and hug them and love them up. And that was great. So I love that as well.
I see we've got Nick Inspired here. He says, I wasn't able to attend this conference, but after listening to y'all, I'll definitely put it in my calendar for next year. Yes, Nick. Yes, yes, yes. It was definitely a great conference. And for any of y'all that are new to BSA and are very interested in our work, we would invite you to please become members of our organization. And the next conference will be in 2028. So there's definitely time to plan for it. And I know a few people joined after I provided my opening remarks. So you all know my name is Chris Rodriguez. I am the chair of the Publications and Scholarship Committee here with VSA. And one of the main things we do between conferences is that we host these colloquial series. So on our website, we do have a list of all the series for the rest of the year, or the sessions for the rest of the year. So that's the best way we stay connected between the conferences. And yes, I definitely agree. It was a good community. All I gotta say, it was a fantastic community. Inga, I see your hand is raised. Go for it.
I'm remembering to take myself off mute. Thank you. One thing that I wanted to make sure that I really surfaced is that we had international folk that were at the conference, and I really, really appreciated their perspective on things. And so that aspect of making sure that the veterans that we're talking about and the society that we're talking about was not entirely homogenous in any way. And so that aspect where Latasha said, that there was community, yeah, and that there wasn't a clique of out and in ways that were negative. Agreed. I do think that there were some maybe touch points where folk could orient themselves around, and so there were some flows that way. And so that aspect of being able to reach internationally is something that I want to make sure that I just wanted to surface and to be able to say I really hope that we can consider that moving forward to make sure that we are considering veteраnology and society and veterans from a global perspective. That matters to me.
Definitely agree.
Nice.
And there were some attendees from the Netherlands at the conference, but it'd be awesome to see some more international in there, the next one. Um, so definitely great points. Does anybody else have any comments on their experience at VIS?
So can I follow up on that real quick? I apologize. I didn't go
Go
to the
for it.
conference, but we're talking about international.
Mhm.
And 6 months to a year ago, we had a Ukrainian delegation come through Florida, which is very interesting in and of itself. They attended FSU first, and then the person who was leading the delegation through FSU was like, "Hey, I used to work at Santa Fe. You should go see their Veteran Services office." So we hosted the delegation of Ukrainian officials, and they were looking at the future, which is amazing because they have nothing in place, absolutely nothing in place for after the war. And so it was interesting, and it was honored. I felt completely honored that they came in and they talked. We told them this is what we do in our office, but your results may vary, but it would be really cool to be able to connect those people with an organization like this where it focuses more on the theoretic the research and the awesomeness that we all have been discussing. Because I think that a lot of this information would be amazing for them. Yeah, I can give them all the procedural stuff. I don't know the VA, obviously. No one really knows the VA. I don't even think the VA knows the VA. But being able to provide like this is things that help, this is the theory behind what we do would be amazing for them to have in their toolbox. Just my 2 cents.
Of course, I would say a good place to start to share with them the things that we've done would be the Journal of Veteran Studies. There's a lot of fantastic work in there. Um, and yeah, just that sounds great, and I definitely appreciate those words, Nick. So yeah, we were talking about the conference experience. Probably give it another few more moments, any more experiences before we go on to what we do for the next one. Because I know we do have folks here that were not at the conference, but I would love their input on any ideas. So I'll give it one more last try. Anybody have any more experiences they would like to share? Sarah, go for it.
Thank you. I echo what Josh said about the collaboration and the opportunity to get to have more exciting people with shared interests and passions. And the fact that we're willing to work with one another is so exciting. And Latasha, what you said about community and communality really resonated with me because the thing I wanted to say, this was only my second conference. And as anyone who talked to me at the conference knows, I am fully obsessed. Y'all are my people. It is so exciting to get to talk to you. But one of my incredible moments was recognizing the continuity, the development of our ideas from last conference to the conversations that we had today, the fact that we are all learning and growing and challenging each other to really think more critically and to advance our own projects in such an inspiring way. For me, that was the most exciting, getting to watch the work that I was introduced to at the last conference influence the way that I talked about my projects and the way you all talked about the work that you are doing.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Definitely, definitely.
Can
Go
I?
for it. Yep.
I just want to say to piggyback on Sarah's comment about the continuity and just the way that things were organized. I have to give a shout out to my girl Carla. Carla is has she was the mastermind of the sessions and how she organized the sessions. Every session was you I would read the theme and wonder like how are these connected, but somehow they flowed so well. Even my session that I presented and the two researchers who presented in that session, when I pulled the session together to speak with them to talk about how it would work and what we would do, I really didn't understand it or how it would flow, but it flowed so well from one person to the next person. It all worked out so well and beautifully, and I have to give Carla credit because she she read each proposal and knew like, okay, this one would go well with this one, and this works well. And every session, it felt the same. Like someone really was intentional, and I know it was Carla who was very intentional about making sure each session felt like it went together. And so I'll give kudos to Carla for doing that.
Thank you so much, Latasha. I appreciate that. It was a lot
You're
of work,
welcome.
but this conference, I remember I'm the only military researcher at my campus. And so when I Googled and found VSA, it was during COVID and I was in the library alone in my campus. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this exists. Like, I have got to sign up. The conference was like a few months away and I didn't even know how much it cost, but I booked a ticket and everything. And I'm like, I'm going. And so I was so excited, just like many of you who this is your first conference, to be in a room and find my people and be able to collaborate with people, talk to people who understand this research, just our lives, period, as military connected folks, without having an explanation. And so my goal is always to make the conference a great experience. So yes, it was a work, but I'm really happy to hear the feedback and to learn more here and continue the conversation after this conference because I know right now we have a lot of momentum. We're all excited and we're going to work together. But how do we keep that momentum until the next conference in 2 years? So that's what I'm hoping to hear today. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Latasha.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Carla, for piecing this thing together. I know it was a lot of work. It came out perfectly, and I definitely agree. Like for my session, everybody like connected. Everybody's topics connected, so it was great. I see two hands are up. So first was Inga and then Mariana. Inga, go for it.
Thank you, Carla. I really do appreciate the work that you pulled together and then the outlining of what you've done. One point that I want to lift up to be able to examine, I'm not trying to push back, but the idea of not keeping the momentum until next time is what I wanted to be able to work with. Because another thing you said is the research and our lives. I really loved how the conference had both folk that are absolutely dialed in. Let's talk about theory, let's talk about criticality, about the research aspect of it, and to be very appropriate in how we hold what we're talking about because this is people's lives that we're talking about. And so I really love that the conference is every 2 years to be able to have a lull time and to be able to come back into a more heavy momentum time. And part of it's just my farmer background, right? Like I'm from Minnesota, and so that aspect of rest in winter is necessary. And since I've lived in Minnesota in 15 years, I still have a hard time making myself slow down, right? And so I just wanted to be cognizant, as excited as I can get, that there's not inappropriate spin put on that ball to be able to be unkind to us and our lives. But yeah, that aspect of research and our lives, I love that we've got both within the space in these folk. And I want to make sure that in our next conference, we have that spectrum.
Yeah, I think more, maybe let me explain. So, what I say is to put this conference on, we need a lot of volunteers. And so that's like the leading up to the conference. So, proposal reviewers, folks who are moderators, that kind of thing. And so, finding those individuals, so we're not always asking the same people to do 5 jobs at the conference instead of enjoying the conference as well, is really hard. And so that I guess in when I'm saying keeping up the momentum is that I'm hoping that maybe y'all will volunteer to be a reviewer, or be a moderator or something 6 months before the next conference, that you'll raise your hand and say, I want to be a part of your conference because we definitely want all of our members to help out in some way, enjoy the conference as well. And so if you have that desire to help out by being a moderator or being a reviewer, some people say, like, I don't want to be doing anything at the conference, but I'm happy to read proposals before. So those are the kinds of things that we would love to have volunteers for to help out so that the next conference flows great.
Thanks, Carla. And I definitely enjoyed being a moderator for some of the sessions. I'm happy to volunteer for that and happy to help with the next one. And Mariana, you have your hand up, and then after that, I'll open up one more time on the same topic, and we'll move on to what we have ideas for the next.
Well, maybe that's the transition. I guess that was my comment was I'm loving all of the kudos and flowers that we're giving to the conference, but as someone who helped put together some of the other previous conferences, I mean, some of the voices in this room or this Zoom space that were so vital were voices that told us what we were doing wrong at those conferences beforehand, and so I'm really grateful to the voices. I won't name drop them, but who came up to us after the conference on a slip of paper or, touched our shoulders and said, well, where are these people at your conference? And where are these topics at your conference? So I'm really eager to hear those suggestions. Given delivered with kindness and compassion, please, but really open to hearing those ideas um, to help us grow. So thank you, Chris, for the invitation to share that stuff. And I guess I'm just double clicking on that of supporting that.
Awesome, awesome. And a quick reminder, I know the survey went out a couple times already, on the app and also through email. If you now had a chance, please fill out the survey and provide your thoughts on the conference so that we have something pretty much black and white to help us with the next one. So leading now to a discussion about ideas for the next conference, I will open up the floor first to my contributors, see what they have anything in their minds, and then we'll open up the floor to everybody else.
I want
So
to bring
any
this to
yes,
Kansas City
oh,
right off the bat. I'm sorry to cut you off, Chris, but I want to bring this to Kansas City.
Submit a
hey, you
proposal.
know what?
Yeah.
I believe that Corinne's gonna send a call for locations, I believe. And Mariana does have some announcements she's gonna provide later on. So if she has anything on that, she can probably let us know. But Kansas City, yeah, might be a good idea. I don't know, we'll see. But now that you are unmuted, I'm gonna go to you first, and I'll go for Inga. Any ideas for our next conference?
Yeah, just that. I think bring it to Kansas City. We do have the National World War One Museum here in Kansas City, which would be cool. We also have the Negro Leagues Baseball Hall of Fame, the Jazz Museum, great barbecue, and and not to be too egotistical, but myself. And I want to do as much as I can to help facilitate, and make it great, not just attend and, but really, I think it would be really good. But I'm sure anybody in any space probably feels that way. If they love the conference, they would love to bring it to where they're at. So that's just my own personal bias.
So, Josh, I'll tell you that the call will go out soon. So be on the lookout for that. And typically, what we would like for the host to do is to communicate with their university, and their university sponsors the
Yeah.
conference to
Yeah.
keep the cost down. So maybe start having those conversations on your campus to say, hey, I was at this conference. Would really love to bring it here, and kind of put the bug in the ears of the powers that be to
Absolutely.
let them know that it's coming.
Absolutely.
Yep, and actually on the same topic, real quick, Nick asked, does it have to be at a university? No?
No.
Just
Okay.
just
No,
don't leave us two-year colleges out of the deal, because sometimes we get pushed to the side, and
Our president of VSA works at a 2-year college, so
rock.
we don't push you out.
no, and we actually had a community college from Texas, I won't name them, to keep them anonymous, who attended this conference to see. It was their first time. They've heard about this conference and they attended to see because they want to submit a proposal to host. So it doesn't have to be an institution, a 2-year or 4-year university. It could be an organization. We open up the proposals to all, and then we compare the proposals and see which one fits best. So please, and if you want a sample of previous submissions, feel free to reach out to Corinne as well.
Yeah, and then real quick, I know Josh had touched on that barbecue, man. I don't know if you're gonna do Texas barbecue, but anyway, Inga, go ahead. I'll hear your thoughts on the conference and or for the future conference, and then I'd love to open up the floor to everybody else here.
I am positive that wherever this conference is hosted, there will be some local delicacies that I will find to love. I'm a food motivated human, and there are many foods that I love. So I will be an equal opportunity food enjoyer no matter where we go. To be able to highlight what I wanted, because I had been invited to think about this ahead of time, so I've had a little bit of time to think. This is not just a question being posed right now. I really want to be able to lift up what Bruce put into the chat, the idea of really coming across the humanistic disciplines to make sure that we're really grounded in those spaces. I would love to be able to have a session where it's like, hey man, we're going to listen to some music and then we're going to like pick this apart to be able to say like, where and when is this helpful and harmful, and to be able to look at what extent, like this piece of music through the lens of various disciplines, right? I would love to be able to pull Terminal Lance up and be able to have discussions again around like a whole bunch of different disciplines about like this particular media and how information is being conveyed from those different ways. And so, situating society, it's one of those things where even talking about it, I'm struggling because that aspect of what our society is and what our culture is and who our people are can look like so many different things. Maybe it just has to be the food thing. Like I love food and there's different types of food that I love and there's some days that I want ice cream and there's some days that I want the carne asada and there are some days where I want my Minnesota tater tot hot dish, damn it. I made myself a 9 by 13 pan of that for my Valentine's present to myself, and so sometimes love looks very different. Um, yeah, and so the heart of what we're doing here, I want to make sure that we are very intentional about that in our next um, iteration. And sometimes I have felt very reluctant to be able to speak to what I think of as the heart of something because I want to be tender with one's heart and I want to be gentle and careful and kind. But within society and this professional society, or maybe that's not professional society, but within this community, I want to be as transparent about that heart as we can be so everybody can see it and talk about it and chime in and give us feedback, both yes and whoa, wait. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. And are we able to save the chat after the Zoom? Ariana, do you know if we can? Because there's a lot of great comments in here that I would not want to lose.
Are we able to stay after? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Maybe like for 15 minutes I could stay. As
Oh
the
no,
Oh, sorry,
Save the
I didn't hear
chat.
what you said.
saving the
chat,
chat
chat.
does happen when you record the call. So we're
Yes,
good.
I'm
So
sorry.
we-
I was doing two things at once, so I wasn't listening. Yes, I can keep the chat. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Sweet, sweet, awesome. Because I've seen a lot of great stuff on here, and I know we're having great discussions. I didn't want to lose that there. And thanks, Inga. Thanks for that input. Definitely appreciate it, and I appreciate our contributors providing their thoughts. Now, open up the floor if anybody else has any ideas for anything in the future. I know Bruce, you put a couple things in the chat. If you want to talk, that's totally fine. If you don't, it's okay. I have the floor open for anybody who wants to talk. Oh, Nick, go for it. You're muted, Nick. Can anybody hear him?
Nick, we can't hear you. We
Not
see
able
you're
to hear.
talking.
Okay, Nick, we'll give you a moment. I see Matt put his hand up, so Matt, you can talk real quick and we'll go back to Nick so we can fix the mute issue.
Yes, I wanted to kind of concur with what Inga said. I think having something like a workshop style similar to what Carrie organized would be very helpful. You know, as academics and professionals are a lot of times really good at talking about things, but we always work independently. So just having that in-person space to kind of collaborate would be great. And then second, I don't know the process behind how kind of keynotes are organized, but just to kind of ensure that the keynote kind of aligns more with the theme of the conference. Because I feel like when we were in Arizona, the speaker, she really captured what the theme was for that year. And this year was kind of motivational, yes, but like it wasn't quite detached from what the theme of memory and kind of memorialization theme of the conference was. So it seemed a little bit non sequitur, but that would be my suggestion.
Thank you so much for that feedback, Matthew. We unfortunately had a lot of travel disruptions with our attendees and our keynote speaker. And so thankfully someone was able to pivot an hour before the keynote speaker was scheduled and had a presentation ready. And so that's where that comes from. So hopefully the next time we won't have travel interruptions, but we had a lot of travel interruptions this time. But thank you for that feedback.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Nick, yes, go for it.
All right, sorry about that. I have no idea what was going on with my mic. Just to kind of flesh out what I was saying about bringing veteran studies into the light of the general public is that I feel like a lot of the stuff that we talk about is very valuable information and usually stays within the confines of the people who are studying it anyway. So the people who want all these changes to happen to universities are the ones that are attending these conferences, and then the ones that aren't so, are just forward facing, yeah, we're military friendly, aren't the ones attending. And I would love to figure out a way of how do we make this so that it is a general public, whether we adapt our philosophies to the general public or make it so that they have to, I don't know. That's all I got.
Yeah, I don't know, Carla, as a conference organizer, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think I would say, sorry, I was reading the chat too as well. I would say that we open it up, and so we are open for many ideas. We will put out a call too for the conference planning committee as well. So if you are a VSA member, we're happy to, as long as you're a VSA member, you can be on any committee you'd like to be, and we would love to have you volunteer. And we would love to extend the opportunity always to community folks and everyone to be engaged. And so it's always open and looking to further the audience as well. Our conference is growing each time, and so we're really happy to see that.
I have another idea. I think it'd be great to have, obviously, this is about and with and for veterans, all this, but wouldn't it be great to have wherever this is going to be in years to come, have local veterans who are not a part of the VSA come in and somehow do something or, I don't know, just share their stories. Just spitballing here, but I just think about even my cohort of Vietnam vets who do not have any real connection to higher ed other than me, right? Many of them didn't even go to school, but to be pulled into this higher ed space and honored or listen to their voices, to learn from them, even though they don't have degrees, I think would make them feel, honored and respected. And because they have a wealth of knowledge, but they don't have degrees. So I feel like there should be a space carved out for them wherever this is at, local veterans to participate and collaborate and teach.
Josh, when you submit your proposal, we'd love to have you incorporate that in there because it depends on the proposal, right? And so, like, let's say for University of Chicago, there were elements that they included in their proposal that said we want to have this as part of the experience. Or some members, thank you, Dr. Young, who said, hey, we're going to be in this area. We should go to this location, right? And so those are the kinds of things that we would love for you to include in the proposal that you said you're going to submit. So yeah, but we're open to all those opportunities.
Cool. Sharon asked like a living library, and I think yes, and because there's some even just local Kansas City stories like Medal of Heart winners, like or excuse me, Purple Heart winners, Medal of Honor winners that are just around, right? And they've got these amazing stories and these amazing lessons, but they're just, before I finish that thought, there's one thing I learned that there's one line from the conference that resonates with me almost daily, and it's this: veterans are simultaneously pedestaled, protected, and marginalized, right? And I think there's just so many veterans that are just left in the corner spaces of our communities until we have a holiday or an event, and then they come out and it's like, oh my God, you're so amazing. We'll see you again next Memorial Day, right? And it's like, man, if we could provide more space for them, that'd be great.
Yeah, I see your hand up.
Was that me, Chris? I didn't
Yeah,
quite
I
hear
saw
you.
your hand was
Okay.
up.
Okay, quick thought that I'm noticing in the room, many folks coming to our conference a little bit into their studies or into their professional careers in the space. And so something I'm often thinking about is how we can engage earlier with folks who need this resource, but are in a library during the pandemic looking for people and kind of find us, but like how can we reach those people when they're getting started or even like before they might consider pursuing graduate study, especially because for the long-term sustainability of the organization, we need to build a pipeline of people who are coming into our space. So I'm wondering if if folks have any suggestions or ideas about engaging early and often, especially with junior, maybe not even scholars, scholar practitioners.
Yeah. So as part of my job to be the military studies librarian at Virginia Tech, the majority of my cohort are undergraduates in this space. And so that aspect of like, yeah, veterans in society is where I'm wanting to look. And so I'm like, cool, you're not even technically active duty yet. And so here's where I want to be able to catch you. So you've got some of these things I can inoculate you in some ways to be able to get some of your resilient skills kicking in and so you can take them through. So then when you're trying to be able to re-enter society, then you've got an easier path. And so I do have some thoughts in that space overall. And one of my first steps to that is a reading group to be able to say, how do you read different types of information for it to serve you in those different spaces? And so I'm wondering if we can think of how to be able to engage with different research and scholarship outside of, I love the research and scholarship spaces where we can just kick off talking about those different things, but to make sure that we're speaking and communicating in ways that match where folk are at to have the literacy in those spaces. I don't have answers yet, but I have some questions and I have some potential things I want to try. I don't know if that's helpful to be able to be tied in closely enough with what you're thinking, Carrie, but I heard some resonance there.
Thank you everyone so much for your inputs. Great points. I know we're getting close to time and Mariana still has some announcements to make soon. So anybody have any more thoughts before I pass the baton off to her?
I have to say that there's a little bit of the holy man, the time went so fast, and that's the way the entire conference went. Like I'm still like literally unpacking some things from the conference. I almost grabbed my bingo card from the pre-cons like right behind me because I'm like I haven't been able to go back to that to be able to follow up with the folks that I met that very first day that I ended up not being able to get back to because it just kept going and going with awesome. Um, so I will land on the thing that I wanted to make sure that I landed on one more time was just say thank you. I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate what folk have brought to this space just today. You know, I've gotten yes ands in different ways that I had not anticipated, which was lovely. And so yeah, I it's important to me to say thank you.
Awesome. And I thank everybody so much for all your inputs in the chat. And Carrie, thanks for letting me know that we can download it and save it because there's so many great stuff going on in the chat. 1 hour wasn't enough for this. Man, I should have made it like 2 hours. But anyway, it was definitely a great conversation. And um, I'll have one question for any that did not attend. If you did not attend, are there any ideas that you think you have would work for the next conference? If not, that's totally fine. I know we're gonna you have opportunities to communicate with us your ideas, and if you want to communicate offline, you can send me an email. Definitely happy to learn about that. And just like they were saying earlier, we will be having several things coming out. One will be we'll need a site for the next one. Another one will be join program committee, which I'm interested as well, Carla. I'll let you know right now. I will respond as soon as I see that. Besides that, we are about the last 5 minutes. So Maria, I know you have some announcements, so floor is yours.
Thanks. Yeah, on behalf of President of Veteran Studies Association, Corinne Hinton, I wanted to, and I put it in the chat a couple of times. I'll put it in a third time, shamelessly or not, but we welcome you to join Veteran Studies Association. You can also just join our mailing list. Maybe you already are, and that's how you heard about this, which is great. Or maybe you just heard about it on social media, which is amazing. Thank you, Latosha, and all of the help that all the work that she does to get us out on social media. As Chris said, we have other events in the colloquia that you should come to, and this is the full list there of those events to put on your calendar. But I also wanted to remind those of you who were at the conference and did present something, a poster, a talk, something like that, that if you would like to submit your materials to our conference proceedings, you should do that. And you have until June 1st. We're extending the deadline. And the process has changed slightly from what you might have heard from the conference announcements. And we'll send this out via email as well. But all you have to do now is just follow this list here, this Virginia Tech Qualtrics thing to submit your materials to the proceedings. And again, we have until June 1st to do that. But you know, my colleague Bruce Pensick, who's here, will tell you how invaluable proceedings are. And we have a large repository of our previous conference proceedings that you can view via Virginia Tech. So we're grateful for that. We're really grateful that you came today and your support and interest in the Veteran Studies Association. And so those are my announcements.
Mariana, to lift up what Carrie asked, can you please explain what proceedings are to make sure that everybody knows what that is?
Absolutely. Proceedings are an archive of a conference, of conference talks. And Bruce is sharing information about that as well, but it's essentially, an archive of what was presented at a conference talks, conference slides, handouts, any of that ephemera from a conference, and then we archive it so that we can cite it and have a record that Carrie Carter said this in 2018, and she was the first person who said it, and it's a lovely thing, and I'm sure those aren't the right words, but that's as best I can tell you that a proceeding is. I know that people have found me because of my proceedings. I know I have found people because of their proceedings. So I do think it's lovely to do, especially as a junior scholar who doesn't have an opportunity to publish in a journal really quickly and easily. This is like a quick pub. Okay, I'll stop talking. Chris, back to you.
Yeah, Martin, thanks for letting us know. And you said it was extended to June 1, right? So can there be a way to send it through VSA, either through an email blast or on the social media page so that others are aware? Because there are a lot of other people that were at the conference that are not on this call that I'm pretty sure would love to jump on this.
Yeah, I can share it through social media. I just need the link, and I'll talk to you after, Mariana, to work through what it should say.
I think she dropped it in the chat.
I'm on my phone,
Yep.
and so it's easier to just.
We're gonna connect afterward. Absolutely.
Great. Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Well, I definitely appreciate everybody being here. It was an amazing conversation. Like I said, man, I should have made it longer. So we do have, like we mentioned various times, we do have more colloquials coming up the rest of this year. We have an amazing group of presenters coming up. For the next one, I know Mr. Hallworth cannot be here today because I'm sitting here today. He will be presenting on May 22. Same thing, will be on Zoom, will be recorded. And I see David is here. He will be presenting in June. And then we have, great people coming up. And besides that, I definitely appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate everybody's thoughts, all the chat going on. Definitely. So let me see if there's anything else here in the chat we need to address before we get out of here. Yep. Okay. Well, I think we're good. Definitely appreciate everybody. And if anybody has any ideas for a colloquial or if you're interested in presenting yourself, my email is on the website. So go ahead and send me an email. I'm happy to look into it. Other than that, everybody have an amazing day, and hopefully you guys have an amazing weekend coming up.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
It was lovely. Thank you so much. Take care, Chris.
All right. Thank you for helping. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor, are you going to share the video link with me for me to put it on YouTube?
I would be honored and delighted to share that video
Okay,
link with you. I
great. You want to stop the recording?
want to stop the recording.